Good morning. Today is Thursday, July 16th. On August the 5th, 2010, 33 miners were trapped 2,300 feet beneath the surface of the ground when their mine caved in. It was about 28 miles north of the regional capital of Copiapo in northern Chile. They ended up being there, those miners ended up being trapped for 69 days. There was some emergency lighting that was available, but they were mostly in the dark for all of that time. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that the first communication took place between those miners and the people on the surface, when a note was passed from the miners to the rescuers through a very complicated procedure. This note was passed up letting them know that all 33 miners were there and were well, but they were trapped. And so the world watched. And the efforts for them were amazing, but they were also very slow. But the world watched as these efforts slowly progressed to reach them. It wasn't until October the 12th that the first of the miners was brought to the surface. And then it took 22 and a half hours to get them all up. I have wondered about that last miner who stayed down there all by himself, waiting for his rescue. In so many ways, there was so much courage, so much ingenuity shown in this rescue that it stands as a story of great hope. A movie was made about it, The 33, but I don't think any of us would want to experience that sort of thing. What an amazing event. Can you imagine what it was like for them, though, when they first saw the light? I remember those men coming out one by one. They were wearing sunglasses to protect them from the brightness of the day. The light was both hope-giving and overpowering at the same time. Well, here we are today, and many people are feeling like we're living in a time of darkness right now, but I don't think any of us would compare what we are seeing to the experience of those miners. Nevertheless, we want to see some light. We want to see progress in the fight against this virus. We want to see some peace between people. We want to see harmony and cooperation in our nation. But here we are. And many are asking, are we simply stuck in this darkness? And to this, I want to give an absolute answer: absolutely not. Our nation and our world have seen other times much darker than what we are seeing right now. And as Christians, we have a light in our possession that carries us through much darker times than this. I want to remind you of what the book of 1 John 1:5 says. It says, "This is the message that we have heard from him and announced to you, that God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all." When we look at the history of our faith, there are moments that stand out as moments of light. When the tomb was first discovered to be empty, that was a moment of light. When Jesus spoke to Thomas and gave him the assurance of who he, Jesus, was, that was a moment of light. On the day of Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit came over the disciples, that was a moment of light. And when the Spirit came to the Gentiles, that was a moment of light. When each of the congregations and the individuals read the inspired reading of those letters that had been written to them, each of those was a moment of light. And then when the discouraged and the persecuted Christians of the late first and the second and third centuries read that book that we now have as the Revelation from John, that was a moment of light for each of them. And understand this, that each of those moments was given for us, for moments like we are experiencing right now. I also want to point out something, though, that is a reality today, and it is a reality for them back then. At each of those moments of light, there were people who rejected the light. In spite of the message of hope and strength that was being communicated, there were some who were choosing to not see the light. In spite of the obvious presence of God, there were those who chose to believe in the darkness. Those who live in the greatest darkness, then and now, may not be those who don't believe, but those who won't believe. So, we are presented with the option each day. We can accept and follow the light, or we can choose to live in the darkness. Perhaps, in our lifetime, this choice has never been more obvious. Maybe, in our lifetime, this choice has never been more necessary. Darkness will consume us, but light will set us free. Darkness will destroy us, but the light will give us life. So, Christian, today, I want to urge you, watch for the light. It is there. It's available to each one of us. And so I want to urge you this day, go live in the light.